Big changes are happening in downtown Oxford, and the Chamber of Commerce hosted a community presentation to keep us updated.
Welcome. I'd like to introduce myself this morning. I'm Amy Desatel, the Executive Director of the Oxford Chamber of Commerce, and I would like to welcome all of you on this brisk, beautiful winter morning to the Oxford Chamber of Commerce Community Breakfast and Leadership Awards. At this time, I would like to introduce Debbie Uren, President of the Oxford Chamber of Commerce. Debbie?
Thank you, Amy. Hi, everyone, and like Amy, thank you so much for all attending today on this cold, brisk morning. I know that we have a number of people yet that have still not made it in, and it could be because of the weather, could be because of parking, so you might be seeing people filter in throughout this event this morning. But what I wanted to do was to introduce all of our board members so that you know who they are, and you can reach out to any of our board members if you have any chamber questions, if Amy is unavailable at some time or just talking here today. So, and I also know some of my board members haven't made it in yet today too. So starting off, as Amy said, I'm Debbie Uren. I'm the president of the chamber. My business is Great Energy LLC. Next, my vice president, if Walt walks in, I will introduce him, but it's Walt Bargan, and he is from Lakestone Bank. And my secretary as well, she's not here yet. That would be Elena Sullivan, and she is the owner of Sullivan Law. But my treasurer is here, Jeff Bullen. Jeff is the owner of Tim Hortons Coldstone in Oxford. And then Jeff Rowe, he is from JDR Wealth Management. There's Jeff right there. If you guys would just stand up until the very end, I'd appreciate it. Nicole Duncan, she's the marketing rep from AccuDry. There's Nicole. And then Liz Lard, she's from Oxford Bank. She's the marketing specialist there. And then we have Mike Sowald, and he is our chief of police from the village of Oxford. So this is our board of directors for the Oxford Chamber of Commerce, and they're wonderful volunteers, and I just would like you to see our 2019 members. Thank you. And you know, you've met Amy Desatel. She is our executive director. And then we do have Adrian. Adrian is our admin that helps Amy. She's our right-hand person here. Adrian, if you wouldn't mind, you all got to see her when you came in. So this is Adrian. And that, I will now turn it over to you, Amy.
We are going to start off the morning with Joe Frost, Council President of Village of Oxford.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? All right, let me just find the sweet spot with the feedback here. So, I'd just like to welcome each and every one of you to the Oxford Chamber State of the Community Breakfast. Thank you to Amy and Adrian for all the hard work you do to make this happen, and to the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And thank you to each of you for attending. This is a great opportunity to network, get to know one another, and to learn more about the state of our community. The Village of Oxford is optimistic. Our downtown is full of opportunity. While there may be a few vacant storefronts, those that are vacant are being spoken for and are being filled. Glenn Pape, our executive director of the Downtown Development Authority, told me just the other day that there are new businesses who are deliberately locating in our downtown because of the 2020 M24 project, because they want to be here when the ribbon is cut, and they want to be here when the road is open. The Village of Oxford is safe. Our police department is active in our community. They are visible. They are go-to guys, some of the best guys we have in our community. And yeah, give them a round of applause. If you don't know how far above and beyond that these officers go, they go shopping. That's how far they go for members of our community. You know, our firefighters, although they work for the township, they're an integral part of our community as well, and they are equally above and beyond. Our DPW, they are out there in weather like this, believe it or not, for our community. They're out there on 110-degree days for our community, reading meters and ensuring that the infrastructure in our community, the water system is safe, the roads are safe, the streets are clean, the streets are clear of snow and ice, and without them, this village would not run smoothly. So thank you to our DPW as well. The Village of Oxford is positive. Families are locating here because of our historic character, because of our walkability, because of our world-class schools. Our village council is finally fully staffed again. We just appointed one of our youngest members, Miss Allison Kemp, and she's going to be working with us, and she's got some plans in terms of communications, etc. Our boards and commissions have new appointments, and we will continue to make those appointments as needed moving forward. Downtown was recently considered by the State Historic Preservation Office just this last Friday for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. This is something that the State Preservation Office does not take lightly. In fact, the nomination was over 100 pages long. And with it, for each contributing building to the district, there's a history on that building. So it is a great honor to announce today that our downtown is officially historic. It's going to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. There's a little bit of paperwork issue piling up in Lansing because they can't officially send anything to the National Park Service yet because the Park Service is closed. But once that reopens, our downtown will officially be put on the National Register with the signature of the keeper of the National Register. So big round of applause to our historic downtown. And with that comes the economic benefit of being listed on the National Register. Our downtown buildings are eligible for the federal historic tax credit for rehabilitation purposes. Today, you will hear more from others about the M24 project, but I want to let you know that a task force has been created some time ago and has been in the works for a little over 2 years ago, or two years now. When I was DDA director starting in 2015, the board said to me, we need to get a handle on this M24 project. That was 4 years ago, and we started the ball rolling, started a committee. That committee went out and toured other downtowns, spoke with consultants, and really got the ball rolling, and you're going to learn more about that in just a minute. But while this is a time to be prepared, it is not a time to be fearful. Our residents need to prepare, our business owners need to prepare, our community needs to be prepared. But at the end of all this, when it's all said and done and the ground is back together in our downtown, this is an opportunity. I don't know if most of you realize it, but according to MDOT, the last complete reconstruction of this road took place in the 1920s. Yes, there has been sidewalks replaced, there's been pipes replaced and patches and things like that, but when MDOT puts shovels in the ground, they anticipate finding the original 19-teens and 20s interurban tracks down the middle of our community because they're still there. And so this is a huge opportunity. And I want to stress to our community, this is the opportunity of our century, the 21st century. 21st century Oxford is strong. 21st century Oxford is moving forward. And in 2020, we are going to have a brand new downtown streetscape and a brand new roadway to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next up is Joe Medor, our city manager, Village of Oxford, and he will share with us now.
Thanks, Amy. For those that were here last year, I had just came on, I was brand new. I loved the village, I was glad to come here, but I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of nice folks over the last year. I came to the football game and watched my Cardinals get beat pretty well, so that was interesting. I love the field, by the way. Very cool. Glenn's going to talk a lot more probably in detail about the 2020 and the M24 project. I just want to talk about more of the smaller scale things that the village is doing. You may have heard already that the Burdick Street from M24 is going to be west out to Ashley Way. It's going to be worked on this year. It's going to be just a mill and fill paving project there. It's partly funded with some help from the county. It's an opportunity that came our way, and that's kind of why that project was chosen. Some people are wondering why we're doing that project, but there was help from funding at the county for that particular type of a road, how it feeds into the downtown. So that's going to be interesting. It should only be a few days, so it won't be nearly as detrimental as they tear up on M24. It is out for bid right now. We'll have some bids here in the next couple of weeks. It's planned to be taken care of sometime from the 1st of July to the first part of August in that 30-day frame. So it should only be a few days of disruption, but I think the project at the end will be well worth it. It will include a left turn lane at some portions of that to help with some of the traffic, and there has been some talk of a light at Pontiac and Burdick there to help with the school traffic, and that's not part of this project, but that's something we will continue to look at to see plausibility and how well we can handle that. One of the things we've been working on at the village is updating our website. It's quite old, it's kind of outdated. We started it a while back, and one of the gentlemen in our office, Drew Benson, who was kind of spearheading that, left to work for the city of Troy here a few months ago. And so I've taken over that, working on that. That should be rolled out here pretty soon. It has a lot of connections and community connections to other partners throughout the area. And hopefully we find it a little bit easier to navigate, maintain, and get the information that you need. We're also, one of the things we hear a lot, I'm not sure how the township handles all their online payments, but we're working for a new payment system for the water and sewer bills, something to make it a little easier. We know there's a lot of people that even leave town for the winter that still get their bills, want to pay it online, so that should be rolled out here pretty soon as well, in the next month or so. We're trying to update that to make it a little more options. One of the things we're doing for the village itself is our parking lot. We've heard a lot of comments about the parking lot is rough. We're working on that. We're having Row Engineering is designing a plan for us right now to take that. We're going to deal with it in some phases over time because the cost is so great. But that's something we'll be working on, at least putting the plan together this summer. And then the 2020 project that was brought up, there's been a lot of the groups. I've been part of those groups over the last year. A lot of good comments, a lot of good suggestions. Working with our partners at the Township, the DDA, and other folks around town. I think it's a all-in type of mentality that everyone understands the pain that's going to be there, but we all understand the benefit, what it's going to be when we're done. So that's great. I've talked to a couple of investors that are looking at buildings downtown, and when I mentioned to them, they had no idea, but a couple of them are pretty excited. So they're like, oh, so after I buy it, this is going to be all fixed up, and that even piques their interest even further. That's about it, all we have at the local level, the village level. And I know Glenn is perhaps going to bring in some other information, and Jack's going to talk about the project as well. But I wanted to say my first year here has been fun, it's been exciting. I've met a lot of great people. I have a couple of chamber events I've been to, some other events too. So very nice, I'm glad to be here, and stop in and see us sometime.
Thank you, Joe. Next up is Jack Curtis, trustee of Oxford Township. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jack Curtis, Oxford Township trustee. I have been asked to update what's going on in the Township of Oxford. First, I have a few thanks to businesses here in Oxford. First, Health Quest, Dan Garr. 7 weeks ago, I had total knee replacement, and I went to work, and his staff brought me back to strength. So I asked Dan, I says, Dan, what's your key to success, all these knowledgeable people here? He says, oh, we have Dr. Google. And I looked at it as Dr. Google, what the heck is that? He said, oh, we learned it on YouTube. I'm going, wow, that's good. Secondly, I want to thank the restaurants because I've successfully gained 20 pounds. So, all right, not to spoil what's coming up with Glenn Pape, but I want to start off with the M24 reconstruction project. I'll tell you what the township's take on this is. What we are doing in conjunction with that construction is we're running the installation of the water main on the west side of M24 from Drainer to Minnetonka, and that gives us a loop system and provides township water to the buildings and facilities along M24 that way. Secondly, safety paths are currently planned on both sides of M24 from Drainer to the village. So we'll have no goat paths anymore, we'll just have some nice safety paths. I'll go through some developments and repurpose activities to let you know what construction's going on in the township. We've had 178 new home starts in 2018. That number sounds low to some townships to the south of us, but what happens is we're experiencing a large growth in our township. The new fish location on M24 south of Drainer, thanks to Dan Davis for his contribution in making this a more geographical and desirable location. But the keynote here is the old location out in Thomas is for sale and may be turned over to another tax-exempt organization. The Burger King is now Clean Cars. It's owned by Skolnick Ford down in Lake Orion. Their project didn't complete in time for winter, so a spring cleanup of the front will be happening. The Burning Oak is now Leo's Coney Island, and if you drove by there at 6:30 this morning like I did, you'll see they're all in there working to get it open. Birdie's Golf is opening in the strip, the outlot buildings of Meyer, and he's just took delivery today, I think, of his 6 virtual golf stations. The bar is built and he's opening up his cookery in the back, so that should be open sometime late February, early March. And we all know that the Legacy 925 Social is open and offering many venues of entertainment, enhancing the Legacy Center experience. And why I mention this is the Oxford Township has no more liquor license available. We have given them all out to future businesses here in our community, and they're not being held by somebody who does nothing. The Grace Senior Living Center, I want to mention this because our friend Chris Barnett's here from Orion Township. This is a great example how One Stop Ready, the program started by Oakland County, has prepared us for this type of development. The development straddles both Orion Township and Oxford Township. Working together with Orion Township and the developer, we were able to come out with a memorandum of agreement to move this project forward. Again, 80% is in Orion, 20% is in Oxford, but we had this MOA developed so that we could move forward and not fight over inspections and water and all these kind of things. This project also has afforded the township the opportunity to move forward with looping our water system from Lakes of Manitou to Indian Lake Road. That just builds the infrastructure credibility by doing that, and with this development we were able to put this water main in. As for future potential growth in Oxford Township, across the street, we have Abbey Ridge expansion of their proposed condominiums around their apartments. Developers come in and talking to us about what their plans are for these condominiums in that apartment complex. We have development within Waterstone, right across the street. There's about 6 acres in this area where we've had developers talking to us in the Planning Commission about a walkable business, living environment, if you will, on this 6-acre property. So they're moving forward with still consideration of what they want to put in there. Tullamore Properties on Drainer Road, it's approximately 50 acres. The Sandman Gravel Pit on West Drainer Road is 100 acres. Crossroads for Youth property is approximately 160 acres. And the property behind the Salvation Army building, all have been in communication with the township of what sort of development we should do, or they could do. Oxford Township is fiscally responsible. Our board has not overspent its budget, and we have positive fund balances in all accounts. Thanks Joe Ferrari. He has implemented the online sewer payments, and we are watching our money very frugally. The township continues to work with the Village of Oxford and the school administration. First off, Joe Medore in the village, and now Joe Frost, through community leaders programs, township participation with a liaison on the village planning commission, and other administrative activities. A lot of this attributed to the cooperative mindset of both entities. We're working forward to the positive Oxford. I don't say I live in the township, I don't say I live in the village, I'm back to saying I live in Oxford. So it works out well. On the school administrative side, I see Tim Throne here. You know, we back and forth, our inputs and dialogue support many things in the school system. I'm a member of the career technical education meetings, open dialogues on matter contributing to the betterment of the curriculum. We also talk about the future investments of the school system on probably a weekly, if not monthly basis. A great school system as ours is an investment in our community, and it'll cause proper growth. Lieutenant Patterson's not here. Thanks to Lieutenant Patterson, Frank Lenz, our Oxford Sheriff Substation has a 64.59% clearance rate. What that means is, of all the cases out there, we're closing 64.59%. This is, with the exception of the village of Clarkston, the highest clearance rate for active incidents in the community serviced by the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. Just to let you know, Lower Oxford is at 59.22. Added one new deputy in 2018, 1 year in advance to the proposed hiring. This was accomplished by cost savings and increase in tax revenue from assessed values and growth. Also, special events that require sheriff support, such as Tough Mudder, these events are charged to the vendor, eliminating any cost to the residents. Oxford Fire Department, thanks Pete Schultz for your exemplary service. I'm just taking his thunder, he didn't want to talk. Oxford Fire Department handled 2,048 calls in 2018. That's up 111 calls from 2017. And to touch on that, the department has hired 2 additional firefighters in 2018 to handle this additional workload and growth in our community. The Township Board continues to be supportive of replacing outdated and improved equipment, whether it's a new truck or lift-assisted stretchers. Parks and Recreation. You know, Ron, I'd like you to talk to this. I tried putting something together for you, but I can't talk like you do about the Parks and Rec. But, you know, you want to give us a quick one on the bond? In the meantime, while he's walking up here, Tough Mudder will return on June 15th, June 16th. We've held a pre-meeting on Wednesday, January 16th. Thanks, Amy, for attending. I know you were there. We didn't get to Glenn in time, but we're one of 3 people that brings thousands, tens of thousands of people to this community. This gives the Chamber and the DDA time to work with businesses as to how to attract these attendants to your businesses. We can get, Rod Charles gets the kudos for the Lone Ranger, Ron Davis for bringing lacrosse tournaments. We got the Tough Mudder here. We just need to work with those people so we get them into the businesses in downtown. Ron, tell us about the parks real quick, if you would, please.
Thanks, Jack. We have over 500 acres of parkland. In 2017, we started our $2 million bond projects. So to give you an example, at Seymour Lake Township Park, we redid our tennis courts, all new baseball field fences, new backstops. We top-dressed all of our roads, put in some new ADA parking lots, new sand volleyball courts, re-roofed all of our outbuildings. We just put in a new outdoor skating rink in this year. Unfortunately, with us building the new senior center and bringing OCTV to our park, our outdoor new pavilion and warming center / concession stand got pushed back this year. So next year we'll have outdoor skating with a warming center for the kids. We built a new sled hill out back in memory of my son Seth. So that'll give us 2 sled hills now. We have an 18-hole disc golf course there at Seymour. At Powell Lake, we redid all of our boardwalks. We put a new observation deck in on Powell Lake in conjunction with the Pollyant Trail. Powell Lake this year, we'll get a picnic shelter, new parking lot, and some play structures. Our 300-acre park out on Oakwood received all new concrete disc golf tee pads, so if you're a disc golfer, that's the place to go besides the one at Seymour. With this cold weather now, we'll start putting in our fishing pier and observation deck at Oakwood. And then Stony Lake, our oldest park, which we acquired in 1900, received all new asphalting, parking, sidewalks. All of our parks now are ADA compliant with everything. So we like to put that feather in our cap. And I'm really proud to say that 98% of our projects are done with local businesses. And just to give you an idea, the one structure we built, we saved over $300,000 on by using local businesses. So a lot of our bond projects come in way under budget, which will allow us to put that money back into the system now and not go back to the taxpayers. And this is all done on a 0.25 millage, or bond, I'm sorry. So we like to get creative at Parks and Rec, and it's because we're working for you and stretching your dollar as far as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. The topics I talked about, I call them, when I'm meeting with developers or potential investors in our community, I call them the jewels of our community. You know, the village, the parks, the schools, the fire department, the police departments, and all of these jewels, they go, oh my God, that's in North Oakland County? It brings awareness to a lot of people that are from not here. Continued support from the Economic Development Committee, which I chair, in reaching out to developers and investors to bring needed services or businesses to our community. We have improved with age our Why Invest in Oxford PowerPoint presentation showing potentials what Oxford has to offer. If you guys want a copy of that, you can email me, you can ask me, call me, I can send it to you. It gives a snapshot of the demographics in Oxford, working with One Stop at Oakland County. We put all this data together, we give it to potential investors, and they really appreciate it. So while each of you feels we know what we would like to come to our town, knowing what it takes to get them here, it's pretty enlightening. And one example I'll give you of that is we were talking with the Arby's folks the other day. In order to have an Arby's in your town, you have to have a candidate with $500,000 liquid cash. You have to have that same candidate with over $1 million in assets and 5 years into the community. So when you see on social media, oh, we want a White Castle, or oh, we want a Taco Bell. I've had Taco Bell out here 3 times, but finding the match and the mate to get them here, we have the property, we have the infrastructure, but we haven't had somebody step up with that kind of knowledge and information. So with that, I want to thank you for your time, and as always, I am available to discuss anything in Oxford Township.
Next up is Glenn Papp, Executive Director of the Oxford Downtown Development Authority. And I just want to say thank you so much to Independence Village for the lovely breakfast that you've served us this morning. And then also Oxford Bank for sponsoring our breakfast.
Thank you. Good morning. Lively crowd. There's still coffee up here. I could sit up here and talk about economic data for Northern Oakland County, but that's not why I'm here today. You don't want to hear me go on about that for an hour and a half. What I am going to talk about is the upcoming 2020 road construction project, and I'm going to talk about it as a road construction project because it's more than just the streetscape that you're going to see in the downtown. It's more than reconstructing the road. It's going to be a community transformation that I think is going to be a very positive impact. So, why the streetscape? Why the road project? Why are we doing it now? Well, our friends at MDOT, as part of their long-range transportation plan, are reconstructing the M24 corridor all the way from M59 all the way up to its terminus. And this is the final piece in the project connecting divided highway, just starting in the township and carrying that northward. This is going to be the final piece in that project. It is a 4.5-mile chunk stretching from the southern end of Lake Orion. I won't call them by their other name that we sometimes refer to them, but it's continuing from south of Lake Orion all the way through to basically the village township border on the north end of the village. And this project is a mill and recap reconstruction south of the township up to Drainer Road, and then throughout the village from Drainer Road north is a complete restructuring and reconstruction of the road from the foundations up. So we're going to have a nice trench through the middle of our community for the summer of 2020. Now, why is this important? Because of this opportunity from MDOT, we had the opportunity to leverage Federal Transportation Alternative Program grant dollars. And we were able to obtain a little over $600,000 in federal grant money to assist the village in transforming its downtown and actually creating a safer, more welcoming pedestrian environment for the community of Oxford. And so as you can see behind me, our main goals going into this project were not just to say, oh, we've got money, let's spend it. It was to make it a safer place. It was to make it more welcoming. It was to make it a more comfortable place to shop, dine, and spend time, rather than its current environment, which is dodging dust and gravel 9 months out of the year as the 8,000 trucks come through our community every day. Some of the other things we wanted to accomplish when we started this process of the design for this road through our town was to look at increasing crossing abilities in the downtown. I'll touch a little bit about that, but we are going to have the ability to cross M24 on foot in more locations than we have today. And this is going to be a big benefit for communities so that pedestrians can cross this street at 3 places in a safe environment without having to run across the street or walk 2 blocks down to Burdick, wait for the light, cross, and walk back down to 2 blocks just to get across the street. So we're looking at street parking improvements. We're going to maintain all of our on-street parking on M24 that we have today. The parking spaces are going to be a little safer because they're going to be set off from the traffic lane, so you won't be opening your door into oncoming truck traffic. There are a whole lot of other improvements that I'll talk about as we get through this. So this was an opportunity. We jumped on it all feet forward. We're getting $623,000 from the federal government to assist with this. This is not a bonded project. This is out of our cash fund from the DDA and the village. This is not going to incur long-term debt. This is an investment in our future that we're paying for today. Wake up, computer. There we go. So just to give you a little bit of oversight, I'll stand on this side between my visual displays. The main focus in the downtown is going to be creating a welcoming pedestrian environment. And so this is a snapshot of our core downtown in the village. And a lot of our effort on making this a welcoming streetscape is focused in these core blocks in downtown. The sidewalks are going to be wider than they are currently. The street lanes are going to be narrower in order to slow down traffic through our community. Our target design speed for this project is 25 to 30 miles an hour. So it's going to inherently slow that traffic as it moves through the village. We're focusing on pedestrian safety as well. We're putting in 3 pedestrian crossings, one at Stanton Dennison, one in a mid-block between the park and the alleyway on the east side, and then one at East Street on the north end of the traditional downtown. And this will give us the opportunity to cross this street. Now, these are pedestrian refuges in the middle of the street with a marked crossing across the street. Unfortunately, they're not going to be the flashing light like you see at Burdick, but we don't have a pedestrian count at this time to warrant that. So as soon as this is put in place and we see pedestrian activity, we can go back to MDOT and say, okay, now let's put in the pedestrian gateway treatment to make it a safer, even more safer environment. Street trees, we've got street trees in downtown, we all see them, and they haven't done very well. I'm going to get into a little further in, we'll talk about how we're engineering a solution to make these trees actually work well in our downtown. Other improvements are street lights that you'll see. We're extending street lights the entire length of the village, not just in the downtown. So we're going to have street lights extending from the north end of the village border with a gateway treatment there, all the way to the south end of the village border with a gateway treatment there. So as you're traveling along M24, there will be a designated, oh, now we're in a place. Maybe I should slow down my vehicle and not drive so fast now that I'm somewhere other than a 5-lane highway. The project extends all the way to the south end, all the way to the north end. You can see here the boundary of the project. As we're moving through the community, we're going to be having lights and street trees throughout the length of the corridor to get a sense of enclosure on the road. Again, a visual impediment to slow the traffic down. In our downtown, a little more specific detail over on this side so I don't squeal at you. One of the things that we're really focusing on with this is creating a sense of place in the downtown village. So we're putting in a tremendous amount of seating, of areas to loiter and socialize, something that hasn't been in place in the current infrastructure in downtown. Some of the ways that we're doing this is creating an acoustic and a physical barrier between the street and the pedestrian zones. So we're actually zoning this out through use of infrastructure that we're putting in place. Zoom in a little bit more and we can see we're creating a vegetative planter barrier on all of our bump outs in downtown. So it gives you a place to put seating for people to linger so that if they get a cup of coffee and they're shopping, it gives them a place to sit between shopping. It lengthens the trip, it increases spending, and it gives people a sense of comfort in the downtown. We're doing this through a combination of rectangular planters and circular planters. We're going to add a lot of color into town. All of our lamp posts are going to have either banners or hanging baskets. Our trees are going to be put in an engineered well so that they survive and prosper. We've been working with the task force to go through and make design development decisions. This is sort of our template for what we're developing in the village, so that we're looking at building on the assets that we have in terms of furnishings and embellishing those and expanding those. Right now we have 3 bike racks in the downtown, so it doesn't really make an effective means of bicycling in the downtown. We're going to be, by the time this project is over, we will have approximately 20 bike racks in the downtown. So it'll make it a much more bicycle-friendly community. We're using a combination of hanging planters, circular planters, and rectangular planters in strategic locations to provide that acoustic buffer and to provide that physical barrier so that the noise is less. If you're walking in the downtown now as the trucks go by, it can be a painful experience at 90-something decibels when a truck hits a joint in the pavement and bangs its rear gate. We're adding a lot of acoustic buffering materials through plantings, banners, and other things that's going to absorb some of that and deflect that sound. So it'll be a much more comfortable environment on the sidewalk than it is today. We're adding street furniture that's going to be complementary to our existing street furniture. We're also going to be going out this spring and painting the town black. We're going to paint all the benches, we're going to paint the lampposts, and this is going to be a volunteer group through the DDA that's going out and doing this basically to beautify our downtown this summer and be able to use that existing furniture. We're not just tearing it out and getting rid of it, we're going to repurpose it within the village rather than just sell it or get rid of it. Some more examples of how we're going to look at this. This is just an example of what you'll see at the Burdick Street intersection, where we'll have those rectangular planters. We'll have low planters. One of the problems we have is, yes, we have a historic downtown, and with that comes the responsibility from the state to say you have to follow certain guidelines. And so all of the planters that we have in our downtown have to be movable, have to be 18 inches and less in height for the planter. So there are some significant design restrictions on what we can do to buffer all this out. We would love to be able to have large flower beds and tall planters and be able to have a lot more in our downtown, but because we have historic architecture, the state will not let us do that. So you may have seen some different renderings in the past of what we're trying to do in downtown, but this is the restrictions that we work with because of our historic downtown. And so I talked about the tree bed. One of the things that we had an issue with our current trees is if you walk through downtown, you'll see the trees and you're going, they're not growing very well. And then you look down and you see the brick surround around the trees. And the problem with that is it's not getting enough moisture, it's not getting enough air circulation to promote proper growth for a street tree in downtown. So what we're looking at is doing an engineering solution. We're using interlocking pavers to both create a visual character in our downtown and allow these trees to be functional and grow well. The area encompassed by the tree is a 5-foot by 5-foot rectangle, and that's going to be filled with mulch. Surrounding that are benches. All of the gray paver stone you see there is designed to allow air and water to filter through those pavers, and underneath that entire area that is that rectangle of stone is an engineered structural soil. And this is the current trend in downtowns. This is put together by landscape architects, soil scientists, and arborists to create an environment so that the trees will grow and prosper. The other advantage to this is these bricks won't heave. They're an interlocking paver with air and drain movement through it, so that this is a long-term, low-maintenance process. They're not going to heave, they're not going to create a trip hazard, they're easy to maintain, they're easy to shovel, and it still is attractive. Now, everybody wants to know, how is this going to affect our travel? Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Yes, it's going to be a problem, but MDOT has been working diligently to come up with the least painful solution. And so what you've got here on this side is their actual technical detour map, and it's replicated on that large board over there. So afterwards this morning, while you're finished networking, you can come up and take a look at it. Northbound traffic is going to be detoured at Drainer through Oxford Lakes Road and onto Glassby. North from there, through the village, up to Ray Road, and then brought back to M24 northbound. And that's going to be the detour for the entire length of the project. Southbound traffic is going to be reduced to 1 lane. They're going to be doing a 3-lane construction, well, 2.5-lane construction plus a safety buffer zone. So they're going to be maintaining 1 lane southbound through the township and the village to the south of the township. This is going to create some problems. We're aware of that. We're working on this. We're developing a detour management plan with the task force in terms of how we're going to maneuver everybody through the village, how we're going to sign access to the downtown and to the village shops along M24. We're working on rear access to all of those affected parcels so that we can make sure that everyone still has access to your business. One of the things to remember is MDOT and the contractors are tasked with providing constant access, both pedestrian and vehicle, to every parcel along M24. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't have an hour or two where they're trenching a footing in front of your business where you won't have access, but it won't be, well, you don't get access for this month. It's in the contracts, and it's an enforceable contract to make sure that everyone has access to the parcel, both on the front and the rear of their parcel in the downtown and down the corridor. Again, if you want more information on this, we've got the maintenance of traffic reports in my office, and I'll be happy to go over them with you. Now, the other bit of fun is, what's the schedule going to be like in 2020? Our official start date is April 15th of 2020. That's as soon as they can get started. The project is going to kick off with the Drainer and M24 intersection. That's going to be about a 3-week project to reconstruct that intersection to improve the safety there and to allow it to be the turning point for the detour around the downtown. So they're going to start there. As soon as they've got that intersection fixed, that's when the detours will kick in. They will begin the reconstruction on the east side lanes, which are currently the northbound lanes through the community. That's going to be the reconstruction side they work on first, because they've got some underground infrastructure they have to work on. That's going to take from early May up to approximately late July. At that point, they should be completed with the reconstruction of the northbound lanes, at which point in time they will flip it over to the other side and begin the reconstruction on what currently exists as the southbound lanes. It's going to be the exact same scenario, except the traffic going southbound will be on the east side of M24. Again, everyone will be maintained access, depending on which side of the road, at what time you're going to have a gravel access to your property. They're still going to have pedestrian access. So starting in late July, early August, they'll be doing the second half of the project, which is reconstructing the current southbound lanes. Our expectation at this point is to be done by the end of construction season, early November. And so, again, once we get that done, we'll open up the street, we'll have a big ribbon cutting, and we'll celebrate our rebuilt thoroughfare through our community. That's going to be a much more pedestrian-friendly and safe environment. Now, I know you all have questions about this because I just touched on it and summarized an 828-page engineering design document. Yes, I've read it. It's fun. So if you have questions, you can talk to me afterwards. You can get my phone number. We can set up an appointment and I can walk you through all of the construction details you want to know, all the maintenance of traffic details you want to know. I'm the point person for the village and the task force for dealing with MDOT. So I get that lovely task, which means I also can tell you exactly what's going on with this project based on my weekly updates that I get from MDOT. We are in constant communication. Our project manager at MDOT already doesn't like me, which is a good thing. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm going to turn it back over to Amy, and she can announce her leadership awards this morning.
Thank you, Glenn. At this time, we would like to present 2 leadership awards. The first is for Ron Davis, who has served as the Director of Oxford Township Parks and Recreation for 23 years. While under his supervision, the department has been awarded several large grants. They have constructed the community, built playground, and KLR Universal Splash Pad. Ron has served on a number of boards and committees, including the Michigan Recreation and Parks Association Executive Board, the MRPA Athletic Committee, and he also at one time served on the Oxford Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, the Township Safety Path Committee, and Metro Detroit Amateur Softball Association, among others. His dedication to his family, his career, and the Oxford community is unparalleled. Ron, thank you for all your dedication and service to our community, and we'd like to award you this.
Thank you. Who would have thought 24 years ago they'd take a chance on a young kid, and that's what they did, and it's been a great pleasure for me. My family, as you know, my wife and I have 3 kids, Sarah, Shelby, and Seth. Seth is no longer with us, but this community has given us so much, and we really realized that during the loss of our son, is it's not about how much you make, it's about how much is in your heart. And I'm so blessed to have worked with the best staff. Lauren's here today and Dan Sullivan. They make my job a lot easier, Dawn Medici. And I'm so touched to have a great commission. Phil Castoni, our chairman's here, who allows me, just like the community, to do things that other departments won't do or the directors won't take a chance on, whether it's a corn maze or moving stuff like Seymour Celebration or writing grants. So I'm truly blessed every day I come to work. Someone asked me when you're going to retire. I'll retire the day that I feel that I no longer can make a positive impact in the lives of residents of our community. And I truly believe that every day. I go to work every day with a passion to do what I do. And it's because of people like yourselves and all the friends that I've made here, whether it's Tim Throne or my dear friend Don Brantley. It's I go to work every morning for you guys. So if you're a business owner and you have an idea, as goofy as it may seem, we're here to work for you. Call us, we'll do it. Whether it's a corn maze or rolling pumpkins down the road, if you got an idea, we'll do it. And I'm just truly blessed to have a great team and commission. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We are so fortunate to have people like Ron Davis in our community. This is, as you can hear, he was a young man when he started and all the things that he's accomplished. Ron, we hope you never retire. We need you, and we need people like you. And with that, we have another award to present.
Our second award goes to Chief Mike Solwald. He has spent his entire career with the Oxford Police Department. He first started as a reserve officer in 1993. That's how old he is. Serving 3 years before attending the Macomb Police Academy in 1996. After graduating from the Police Academy, Officer Solwald spent just a few short months as part-time officer before taking on the full-time DARE officer. Officer Solwald was promoted to the rank of sergeant in 2002. During that time, Sergeant Solwald wore many hats. Not only was he sergeant, he was also a field training officer, a reserve program coordinator, and a firearms instructor. In February of 2017, after the former chief officially retired, Sergeant Solwald became interim chief. In September of that same year, interim Chief Solwald was officially named chief of the Oxford Village Police. He currently sits on the Oxford Chamber of Commerce board. Mike, please join, well, you've joined us up front, and thank you for your dedication and service to our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow, what a great honor. It's going to be hard to follow Ron Davis's speech, but you go back as far as Ron Davis. I remember back in the DARE days, he was a huge component in helping me with my DARE outings. Guy's got a lot of people he knows in the community. Just like we have known over the years, this is my 26th year. And it's unprecedented what I see, what's going on today from when I started my career back in 1993. How everybody is working together, how all these bridges have mended, how we can all network and how we can all bring this community together. And this is one of the reasons why I stayed here and get kind of choked up, because I love this community. I love you guys I've known for a long time, friends and family. It's an honor. Thank you.
And here we go with another young man. You know, what does that say about this community? Two young adults that have spent their life here, working here and constantly bringing this community together. What more could we ask for? With this road being done, with the wonderful information we received, I'll tell you, this community can only grow and grow and grow. Let's keep our young people here. Let's keep them involved. Let's keep our businesses involved. And the Chamber is here to help you. Amy, you're doing an outstanding job. I can't say enough for the people that I see in the room here. We are all so blessed to have everybody here and to have everybody on the same page. We're here together as one happy family. Thank you, and I'm going to turn this back over to Amy.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome, Amy.
I just want to say a few things. The Oxford Chamber of Commerce has been working on a speaker series, and our next speaker series is Women in Small Business. And yes, men can come to it also. But it will be Mary Engelman, the Executive Director of the Michigan Women's Commission, and she will discuss many challenges and biases and credibility issues that we have in small businesses. So please, everyone, look for that and sign up for that. And that's going to be at Italian Gardens. So you'll have lunch. It's a luncheon speaker. The Chamber also has some ribbon cuttings coming up to welcome Hunter CPA to their new location, and they're going in next to Funky Monkey there, where Be Different was, and that everyone is welcome to that. They're having an open house. The ribbon cutting is Thursday, January 24th, which is actually this Thursday, and then directly after that at 5 to 7 is our Mix and Mingle at the Legacy 925 Social, and the restaurant is all the way around back, and that's where we'll be holding that, as the Mix and Mingle. and everyone is welcome to come out to that. Whether you're a member or not, it's a great way to see if you want to be a part of the chamber. And then we have another Coffee Connect at AT&T, which is February 5th from 8 to 9 a.m. And that is J Jewelers or Jimmy John's is a good landmark. That's where AT&T, that store is. And then one other ribbon cutting, which is February 13th, and that's for Blue Ivy. And they've gone in next to Boulevard Boutique, and that's a wonderful little store. So that's a ribbon cutting coming up. And then also, we are partnering with OCTV too. So as a business owner, if you let them know that the chamber sent you, you can have a commercial done of your business for a very minimal charge of $75. And it's a great way to promote your business. And then it goes on to YouTube, which you can keep for the life of the video. And then also H&R Block, we're partnering with them too. If you let them know that the chamber sent you, they'll give us $20 back for everyone that goes and gets their taxes done. That'll go towards our Christmas parade. And our Christmas parade is always held the first Saturday in December, which is always a great give back to the community of Oxford, and everybody comes out to see Santa. And I want to thank all my speakers. I appreciate everyone for your time and coming out, and for the cold weather this morning. And Independence Village, again, thank you for the beautiful breakfast. And I'll let everybody have some time to mingle with our officials, and thank you again.